So, a very warm welcome everyone who is joining today for continuing on the path of Bodhisattva. So, as we always do, we'll read these Bodhisattva vows again. And for me personally, I feel it's a very great reminder to read them again and again because from time to time we forget and our focus shifts on to our little self, me, my story, my agendas, my unfulfilled demands and expectations, and it makes us suffer, and we are also not able to benefit all the others around us if we are on that trail. So it's very good from time to time to set our intention right, that what do I now want to do with my life. So these vows by Shanti Deva, uh, Buddhist teacher quite long ago. His Holiness Dalai Lama also reads these vows every day for himself. So I have been really, really benefited by these vows because, again, as I said, it sets the inner compass, our intention right. That okay, in this moment of time, if maybe somebody is arousing my anger or something is invoked in me as triggered, what do I want to do I want to be a guide for those on the path? Do I want to be this and that, whatever I read every day? And then again I'm able to step back from my little self or the ego or the anger or jealousy or whatever is arising. So that's why it's very good to remind ourselves of these points for those of us who resonate with this. So if one of you could read them aloud for us, it would be really nice to hear them. So anyone who feels like reading them out, please unmute and read.
Can do it.
Yes, please.
May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles, and for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened.
Thank you very much, Claudia. So after this, we usually go verse by verse. So this is what we have been reading. I hope it is, yeah, you can watch it. Look at the screen. So these are the verses by Lord Atisha for training the mind. And many teachers have given commentaries on these verses, so as to use them in our practical day-to-day life, how to make use of them. So we have been listening to teachings by Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo, which we'll be doing today also. And today we are going to listen to the teaching on this verse number, I think, 8. The supreme sign of accomplishment is a continuous decrease of wishes and wants. And we'll be listening to a teaching on this and then later on reflecting and sharing. So, before we listen directly to the teaching, we'll just read out these verses one by one. So, we are four of us, or maybe three. If people are not wanting to read, that's also okay, but it's good if you read. If we have the capacity to read and unmute, that's really good. So if one of you can unmute and read the highlighted portion for us, that would be really nice. Yeah, Sham, you want to read?
Yes, shall I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Uh, the supreme understanding is to realize the meaning of selflessness. The supreme spiritual discipline is to tame one's own mind. The supreme great quality is altruism. Then it is the supreme oral instruction is to observe the mind at all times. The supreme remedy is to know that nothing has self nature. The supreme conduct is to be in disharmony with the world. The supreme accomplishment is a continuous decrease of disturbing emotions.
Yeah, thank you. So the next person maybe can read this half, the highlighted portion. So SJ, would you like to read? If in case you have the capacity to unmute and
Hi everyone.
hi.
I'm in a place where my network is not very,
Okay, okay,
but I
okay.
will still try and read it.
That
Uh,
that would be nice. Yeah, please.
the supreme self-accomplishment is a continuous decrease of wishes and a supreme generosity is non-attachment. Supreme ethical conduct chooses to take the lowest place. Supreme effort is letting go of activity, and the supreme caution is not altering the mind.
Thank you so much. So Claudia, would you like to go through the last half, the
Yes.
highlighted?
The supreme wisdom is to not grasp onto anything as the self. The supreme spiritual teacher is the one who exposes our hidden flaws, and the supreme instruction is the one that helps us to strike at those flaws. The supreme companions are mindfulness and alertness. The supreme inspiration is enemies, hindrances, disease and suffering. The supreme method is to be natural. The supreme way of benefiting is to help others enter the Dharma. The supreme benefit is a mind that turns toward the Dharma.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the last, in the last discussion or the session, we had reflected upon the verse 7. The supreme accomplishment is a continuous decrease of disturbing emotions. So I'm going to pick up the thread from this last half and then we are going to move into the next verse. And why accomplishment? Because as we were hearing the last time, that usually whenever we talk of any realization, spiritual realization, especially in Indian context, we talk about powers, or siddhis, that this master has many powers. Maybe he can walk on water, or do something like flying or levitate, and that is what is a mark of realization. So it's something different from that. So he's saying that Atisha is saying that supreme accomplishment is not powers, because many a times we see that many people may have developed powers and siddhis, but when they easily get aroused, they get excited, they get angry at people. So the supreme accomplishment is not siddhis of any kind or realizations in terms of powers of making miracles or magic happen. Actually, the supreme accomplishment is a continuous decrease of disturbing emotions, because all these disturbing emotions called anger, jealousy, pride, vanity, greed, lust, all of these emotions make a lot of unpeace in ourselves. We become very aggressive, very restless. We are at unease. And that's a reflection that it is not my true nature. And that is why they are called negative emotions or disturbing emotions. There's a purpose to that name, because it is not a true essence of me. and there's something coming from outside, they need to be transformed. I don't have to look at them at this is my anger, my desire, or my jealousy. It's like a world of jealousy is there, and we keep picking up things from there. They are external to our nature, they are not true to our nature, and that is why they disturb us. Whenever we are angry, we do get disturbed. We are not at ease and peace. So that's the supreme accomplishment. So even on for all of us, who are on this path, if we really want to assess ourselves from time to time, just we have to check that, am I angry often? Am I jealous often? Am I greedy often? So that would tell me inwardly how my path is progressing. So there is a continuing inner ingathered state, inner calm that progresses, and you are not listening to the dictates of anger, jealousy, ambition, greed, all these that from time to time arise. So I'm going to share three short videos, around 2 to 3 minutes each, where one of the teachers talks about transforming these disturbing or negative emotions. So this teacher, his talks are available on uh, YouTube, many of them. Just let me find, yeah, here it is. Yeah, so his name is Mingyur Rinpoche, and we have earlier many a times listened to his teachings. So there are three ways of relating to these emotions, disturbing emotions, and he talks about three ways. One is transforming them, then another one is abandoning them, and the third one is seeing its true nature. So we are going to just listen to one by one all of them, because I think they are very, very good tools on the path and very short clips. So first is seeing its true nature.
So number three, what we call seeing the nature of that emotion. Let's say panic. So when you look at the panic become pieces. The sensation, the image, the belief, the voice become pieces. And these are impermanent. Panic is changing. And it's multiple, many different pieces. And it's interdependent. Your panic has caused, conditioned so many, the physical body, all this together. So when you look at more into that, you will find those things. And if you more look at it deep enough, in the end, panic lost meaning. Hatred lost meaning, what we call emptiness. So your mind completely beyond the concept. Your mind cannot identify the emotion. There's awareness. So then you rest. So this kind of practice, there's normally we have two kind of practice. One with emptiness. So the emptiness, what I just mentioned you, this is the emptiness practice. So in the end, your mind see the emptiness, your mind has the experience of emptiness, and you rest in that emptiness. After some time, you will forget. Emotion come back again. Watch again. And the second one is normally what we call nature of mind practice. So if you receive nature mind teaching, if you recognize nature mind, then you don't have to even watch the emotion. The emotion, nature of emotion is wisdom. Nature of emotion is pure awareness. And you rest in that pure awareness, then the emotion lost power. So that's what we call self-transformation, or sometimes what we call self-liberation. Yeah. Thank you.
So I hope it was somewhat clear. We can talk about it. So imagine that something is arising, and we are becoming more and more conscious about whatever arises in myself. It may be somebody said something and I felt immediately very hurt. So hurt arises. And when I'm becoming conscious of this hurt, earlier I used to follow the dictates of hurt and I listened to all the story in the head being cooked up in my head around that hurt. But now when I see the hurt arising, I look at its contents. That what he was sharing, that you must have some sensation in the, maybe the tummy, maybe some butterflies in the tummy, or maybe a constriction in the chest that you felt because of that hurt. So there would be one part of that emotion would be physical sensation. So you become conscious of that physical sensation of hurt. Then you would see another part is the storyline in the head. So, oh, this person said this and he also said this 5 years ago, he keeps on repeating this. So this is the storyline that develops in our head. So this is another part of that same emotion. And he was pointing us to that you would see that these things keep on changing. So the constriction in the heart doesn't remain the same. It keeps on changing, it keeps on moving. If you watch that sensation in the heart, then you would see that sometimes it is intense, sometimes it's going down, sometimes it's moving to the tummy even, and then it's gone. And then you would see the storyline, what kind of storyline gets repeated in the head. And you would see the nature of either the storyline or the bodily sensation around hurt in this particular case is changing. It's not like once it is there, it's like stably there. It keeps on moving, it's fleeting. And the only thing which is constant is the awareness looking at it. So I am aware of the storyline. I am aware of the constriction in the heart. I am aware of the constriction in the tummy. Things are changing, the body sensations are changing. The storyline also keeps on, changing. But the only thing that stays stable is the awareness. So he was pointing that if we look like this, if we observe our anger, our resentment, our hurt like this, then we will see that there is only one thing which is not going away, which is the awareness. And its awareness is like a space. From space clouds emerge and to space clouds dissolve. So that is how thoughts and storylines emerge from the space of awareness and they go back, dissolve in awareness. Even bodily sensations around hurt or anger or jealousy, they emerge from this space of awareness and they go back, dissolve in the space of awareness. And this awareness is the true nature of these emotions. And that is what he was pointing out, that if we want to work with these emotions, we can see their true nature. And the true nature is space or awareness in this case. Space is a metaphor very commonly used for awareness because it's similar, it gives us a ground to reflect upon. So that is one of the ways, seeing their true nature when they are arising. So now he is going to give us another way, which is, let me just, abandoning. So the next way is abandoning the disturbing emotions when they arise. So let's hear this.
So normally, in the Tibetan Buddhist meditation tradition, we have three ways to deal with emotion. So what we call abandoning, transforming, and seeing the nature of the emotion. So there's three. So the first one is the basic, abandoning. So when we feel the emotion, what we have to do is don't let control by emotion. You bring the awareness and you notice and you catch the emotion. So then you let go the emotion. So main important for this is you try to abandon emotion. Try to get away from the emotion. and try many ways, also reasoning. Okay, emotion, what is the result if you follow the emotion? What is the problem? If you're free from emotion, what are the benefits? For, let's say, anger, hatred. So what is the result of hatred? You're not happy, you make others not happy, and when you're having hatred, more than 90% whatever you see is not real, not true. So you try to make reason, and then you try to be aware of yourself. Whenever the anger comes, you try to practice antidote, maybe compassion, maybe emptiness. Try to get rid of that emotion, get rid of anger, and you tell yourself, I'm not going to angry, I'm not going to angry. So that's the basic idea, which is abandoning the emotion.
So this may seem difficult to do. I'm not going to be angry. But it can work only if we have being angry enough, and if we have seen how, what kind of result happens when I follow anger. So if we have suffered following the dictates of anger, then I will be able to abandon. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to abandon anger. So even if there is a pinch of something in me which thinks that I will be benefited from anger if I follow the dictates of anger, no one can stop me from following my anger. But if I have suffered enough, so that's why suffering again and again comes as a very good blessing. It helps us to transform ourselves. If I have suffered enough from anger, if I have made others suffer from my anger, enough torture done, then I will, whenever the next time anger arises, and I'm convinced that I don't want to follow it, then when I see the ripple of anger arising, I would say, neti neti is coming from Vedantic tradition, I am not this, I am not this, and I don't have to follow it. So you let it go. You don't follow the dictates of anger. And Tignathan also shares something about what he was talking, Mingyur was talking, that uh, you can reflect upon the result of following anger. What happens to me when I follow anger? There would be many uh, things that would come. Maybe you can reflect. In one way, Tignathan was sharing that world wars happen because of following our anger. Do I want to do that? Do I want to make others unhappy? Do I want to do this torture to myself? No. So this is another way in which we can reflect whether I want to follow the disturbing emotion or not. But this cannot happen, in my experience, this cannot happen if I have not faced the brunt of these emotions enough. Only then a willingness to change, to be a different person arises. Otherwise, if you are convinced that your anger or jealousy or greed or lust or emotions, anything is going to give you something, then no one can stop from following the anger. You'll not be able to abandon it. So, yeah, one must have ran enough in enough directions, and banged your head on the wall in enough direction. Now that you know that, no, I don't want to. Yeah. Yes, Claudia, please go ahead.
Yes. Well, looks like very easy, but I mean, I've been in that situation of being very anger, or I don't know, have jealous or something. And I mean, in that moment, you will say, yes, what I get for being anger, and always, the anger always justify himself. I mean, always will say, well, I get justice. Yes, I get justice for me and others because, I mean, it's not fair. It's completely not fair what that person is doing, or what, I don't know, the government or whatever is the anger placed, yes? So you completely believe the idea, then I mean, if you go there and say, what I get to be anger, I will say, I get again, I get justice for others. Yes, I get justice for humankind, or uh, so if that answer comes here, what you do? I mean, it's like, I mean, you cannot stop anger. It's like,
Your sharing reminds me of this anecdote of Nelson Mandela, which we had come across in this movie. There was a documentary made, Mission Joy, on His Holiness Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, their friendship and how their life's struggles and how their life's difficulties made them the person they were. So in that, Desmond Tutu was remembering Nelson Mandela's life. So if we see, he shared that Nelson Mandela was very he was very aggressive in the sense that he wanted justice for all, and with arms and ammunition and like a war, something like that. But then he was sent to jail. Very young age, he was sent to jail. I think he spent around 20-25 years, if I'm not wrong, in prison. And what Desmond Tutu was sharing, that those years in prison completely transformed him as a person, and the same fight for justice that he was wanting to do, he was now able to do without arms, without ammunition, but in a very different way, very powerful, peaceful way. So these kind of examples give us an inspiration that, yeah, you are right that the anger may be justified and one must stand up for the right cause. It's not that we'll always take a passive stand and not stand up when the time is to stand up, but there are ways in which we can transform even that standing up. And this is our possibility. These kind of big examples, they show that this is our possibility. And Desmond Tutu also, if you see his life, he was a revolutionary. His life, if you type it on Google, you would see that he did a lot of transformation and reform for people, especially during apartheid also. He stood up, he gave a lot of passionate speeches. But I somehow never saw him picking up arms. And it may be a loud and passionate voice, but it was not angry. It was like, so there is a difference between enthusiasm, zeal, and passion, and taking a stand for others and oneself and for the right cause, and being angry, which weakens us. Anger weakens us. So if my stand is making me strong, that is what I should pursue, I feel. Yeah, please go ahead.
yes. So then the definition of anger is to hurt someone else and to hurt ourselves. I mean, anger is always aggressive towards others, always like will act in a damaged way. Yes.
Yeah, anger,
And
basically, anger and aversion, they go together. Anger, aversion, hatred. So, amongst the three basic root poisons that Buddhism teaches us, the first one is attachment or sticking, clinging, and along with that goes greed. When we just want something, we feel incomplete without it. The second one is anger, aversion, hatred. They all fall in the second category. And anger, aversion, or hatred have a very strong sense of otherness. I am something special, and look at that person, he is a sinner. So there is a very strong sense of otherness in anger, aversion, or hatred. And the root poison is ignorance, which is the third poison. And they say that why it is the root poison, because if I am not ignorant of my true nature, which is one with all, then I would actually not feel angry, and I would also not be greedy and lustful for things that they will make me complete. So the basic root poison is not to be aware of who we truly are, ignorant of our true nature. And if we can work on that, then even anger, aversion, hatred can be taken care of. And it does not mean that I would not be taking stand for the right cause. I will take the stand for right cause. But it's not in a sense of others are bad and I am the right one. That feeling of hatred and aversion, that would not be there. So there are many good examples in history.
Yes,
regarding
and
that.
more in my daily life, like if I scream to my husband one day because I am angry about garbage is not done, or something like that, this anger is okay, is justified, or is not okay to scream to husband because of that things or something.
It's a funny question. I think one way of looking at it is we all make mistakes. There are times that we are not truly ourselves. We are maybe lost in our thoughts. Something is on our mind, and we are not able to do all the works properly. So, if I am able to see that in me, that I also fail, I am also, there are days when I'm not able to really keep up to what I would like to do. So he is also allowed to make mistakes and maybe not put out the garbage. So compassion comes, when we look at our own faults, when we look at our own mistakes, that yes, this happens with me also, then it grounds us and compassion comes, that okay, maybe he is also today too much in his thought. I'll do that instead of him. So compassion can come. I don't know if it is justified or not. Yeah, thank you. So many teachers in Buddhism, they say that anger is a distorted version of wisdom energy, and this is what we have the power to transmute into. If we have lots of anger in us, parallelly we have so much of wisdom in us. Now it's my task as a human being to find it, to work on it. Yeah, anything else at this moment, anyone, before we move on to the third video? Okay, so I'm moving on in that case. The third way he shares, first one is seeing their true nature. Second is abandoning, not following their dictates or reflecting what it is going to do. And the third is transforming these emotions, negative emotions. So let's hear this one.
The second way to deal with emotion, what we call transforming. So you transform the emotion. How to transform? For example, if that hatred comes, panic comes, jealousy, stress, you use stress as support for your meditation. So, for example, when you meditate, you be aware of the breath, right? Breathing in, breathing out, and the breath is support for your meditation. Breath becomes support for your meditation. So now, instead using breath, you can use the hatred, the feeling of when you hate, the feeling of tightness here, all the sensations. Watch the sensation. There's the image. There's a automatic voice. All these things. Then the hatred become pieces, and then you cannot really pinpoint. But you are just accepting the hatred, and then you transform into meditation. So that's one way to transform. And the second, transforming into love and compassion. Let's say when you have this hatred, and you understand, okay, I have this hatred. Whoever those being who having this hatred, they are not happy. So you feel empathy, sympathy. Then you take what we call taking and sending practice. Then you take all beings' hatred into your hatred, and may my hatred become represents for all beings hatred. How nice. So then hatred transforms into love and compassion. Something like that. So that's, you can apply with hatred, apply with panic. I did this when I was young. Anger, jealousy, stress, depression, low self-esteem, worry, whatever you've, or physical sickness also. So anything, any problem, anything you can transform. And if you have anything like happiness, virtuous thing, all these things you can give. So all these virtues give to others, and take negative emotion into your negative emotion. So taking and sending practice. This way you can transform the emotion into awareness and transform emotion into loving kindness, compassion.
So this is also very, very powerful, very practical. Two methods he gave us. The first one is that when some ripple of hatred, aversion, something very disturbing, maybe hurt, past hurt, it comes, and you're becoming conscious of the hurt arising, the anger arising, the greed and the lust and the desire arising, and you have suffered enough and now you don't want to follow the dictates. So what you do is that you, just like we meditate using bringing the mind to the breath, the same meditation can be transformed into using hatred or anger as this object of meditation. Now what am I doing? I am becoming aware of, okay, what is happening in the body when this so-called anger is there. Okay, tightness in the chest, burning in the chest. So you become aware of that burning. You focus on that burning. Then you see that, oh, then mind goes in the stories about who insulted you and the story about the anger. So you look at that story. You don't buy into the story, you just look at it. Then you look at your physical sensation. Then you look at the story, because it will keep fluctuating. It goes here and then. So he was sharing that become aware of all the components of hatred, anger, aversion, whatever you're going through, jealousy. And you don't have to do anything about it. That's the beautiful thing. You can just take your time out when these ripples are arising. I remember one time there was a very strong emotional hurt that was happening, and I had suffered through that hurt enough. So this time I said, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to observe it. And I was decided that maybe throughout the day, I'm not going to be functional today because it was very painful. And I said, okay, I'm going to lie down on the bed, not do anything, but watch this happening, going into the thoughts and then looking at the sensation, then looking at the story, then looking at the sensation. And I went like this for about 1.5 hours. Now, after 1.5 hours, I got up to go to the washroom, and I was in there was no plan that I had that now I would get up, or I was decided that no, the full day is going to be on the bed watching this, because it was very strong and intense. And I was amazed to see that when I got up for the washroom, I was completely fine. The hurt had gone, and very much I was totally at ease. I didn't do anything about it. I did not follow the dictates of the story. I was just observing it, being with it, embracing it for 1.5 hours. I didn't do anything. And I was not expecting that it would go away. That too. I was decided that, okay, today I'm just going to lie down on the bed, no cooking, nothing. And it was just, it was gone. And there was a shift in my consciousness, which made me again functional and cheerful and okay to go on with life. So this is a practice which we can also follow. When we have followed the old roads enough, old roads of jealousy, old roads of feeling hurt again and again, same stories repeated in the mind. When we have done that enough and we are ready to transform, then we can make it into our yoga practice, union practice. And the second path that he was sharing was very famous, a Buddhist practice, Tonglen practice, where whenever I become aware of my confusion, okay, look at how disgusted with failure I am feeling. For example, I failed again and how disgusted I am. Oh, this is how everyone feels when, just a second. So this is how everyone feels when they go through failures. Now I connect with their pain. Now I connect with their suffering. So this is another way, and inhaling their suffering, taking in all that pain that people go through when they're going through failure, disgust, depression, and giving them, may they have joy and progress. May they have peace in their heart. So you have transformed the same disturbing emotion into something which is love and compassion for everyone. One has made use of one's suffering. That is another way. So anything at this, anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sham?
Well, that tongueling meditation is a very powerful one, whereby you imagine a black bead deep down your chest, and you imagine that you are taking the sufferings and pains and all the all the bad things that people are afflicted with down into your own chest, and then you are giving out opposite of all the pain and suffering, like love, compassion and everything, and then you feel that you are at ease with yourself. So that tongue meditation, I have tried it once or twice, but in a very discreet manner and I did find I did get benefited. Means there was a feeling of compassion and there was a feeling of non-attachment at the same time. That these are all transitory phases. They go up and down like the crest and trough in a wave, or like an AC current where it goes up and down in a sinusoidal wave. So that is one thing. Another thing is that sometimes it happens that people speak in such a lousy manner, in such a lousy tone and tenor, that you get agitated and you get restless. Okay, what do you call, वो कहते हैं ना कि दिमाग में भसड़ मच जाती है, ठीक है? तो it happens, okay, that भसड़ मचने वाला चीज कभी कभी, in fact, at many times it's very painful also. Means they speak such rudely and they speak such harsh words without even imagining that how it would, what it would do to the person in front of me or the person with whom I am dealing with. They don't even give a moment's thought, or they don't have that sanity and sanctity in them as to why am I speaking this, or as to that one word of pity or one word of love would make that person dutiful towards me. I mean to say that I have a quote. Just hold on, I will share it with you. एक minute. Yeah, that quote says that there are some people who always seem angry and continuously look for conflict. Walk away. The battle they are fighting isn't with you; it's with themselves. Okay. So उन लोगों के दिमाग में जो भसड़ मची होती है, वो लोग अपने बातों से हमारे दिमाग में वो ट्रांसफर कर देते हैं, and unnecessarily we take it upon ourselves, and we feel we feel out of way and out of proportion. So the best thing is that we don't react to it, and we watch the emotions as to how our emotions are functioning, and we just keep quiet. Because if we talk more at that point of time, and if we react in a manner in which they would have reacted, or if we start showing their place in the world as to what is their current status, we may stoop down to their lowest levels, maybe down to the lowest pit, and maybe we are at a loss. So in those times, watching the emotions, that helps, and taking a step backward, maybe drinking water, maybe what you call that, what Madam Taru was speaking the last day, that Om Mani Padme Hum, maybe a chant like that, chanting that for 10 times or 11 times, or hearing some some music, or some refreshing music. It helps a lot in those times, in those lousy times, I should say. So this is how I connect with that. And then conditioning of every person is different. If you have read that book in Divine Romance by Paramahansa Yogananda ji, he says that not all the persons are same. They are all conditioned and brought up with their different value propositions on the table. And this is what sometimes people show it off in a very rude manner, such that they make the other person suffer with malignant moods, which we ought not to, because anger is short madness. When we are under the influence of anger, it takes us out of our minds, and we do what even children wouldn't do. So this is how I connect with that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. As Tenzing Palmo, Jetsunma Tenzing Palmo, she shares many a times that uh, with good people we can be very good. Everybody is talking in a very nice tone, very harmonious, respecting you. How easy to be good with them. And then she shares, then our true challenge, our true spiritual teacher is these difficult situations. So we can be very grateful to these teachers whenever they arise, whether they are our close spouses, siblings, or people at work, because they tell us where we stand. It's not that where they stand, where we stand. No, because what is the mark of spiritual progress? A continuous decrease of disturbing emotions. He did not say a continuous decrease of disturbing situations outside. They will remain. But what is happening in me as a result of the outer trigger? And again, whenever I go through something like people talking rudely to me, I feel that rejection within, people talking in an insulting way, not accepting me. I can, there's so many ways, as we were discussing. One of the ways is, oh, this is the turmoil people go through when they feel non accepted, or when they are rejected, or when they are insulted. How bad, this is what we go through. So connecting with their pain, connecting with their suffering, all the people who have been rejected and insulted and bad mouthed, this is how they feel. So now I connect with their pain. Let me inhale that pain, as you were sharing, and may they have a peaceful heart and joyful and progressive heart. So, the beauty of the path is that no matter how muddy and dirty the situation is, there is always a scope for progress, and that is the path. That's the warrior path. That's the Aryan spirit. Otherwise, what's the fun? If today I was talking to someone and he was sharing that, why is it like this? Why are people not all nice and things like that? And why are we not divine already? Then what's the fun? What's the fun? Because if you are not at the mountain foothills, how will you have that joy when you go above towards the peak? When you are born and brought up on the peak, you have no taste for climbing up the peak. So hardships make us connect with this inner divine strength, and that is why the creation is there. The creation is there. We many a times in masters, mystics, they say that it's a play of the divine. Creation or manifestation is a play. Now, what is a play? Of course, I am all knowing, all embracing, I am all powerful, but that's no fun. Okay, so what do? I make ignorance. I put a veil in front of me, like hide and seek. People play hide and seek. They put a kind of a blindfold in front of them because it is fun to find then. So that's what we are doing. Now, in essence, we are all Buddha natured, we are all divine. But the fun is that first we start from ignorance and darkness. We have then these disturbing emotions on the way. And when we are able to transform them, then the joy that it brings us, that's worth the path. That's the Aryan spirit, that's the warrior spirit. Not giving up and going on and on. Yes, Claudia.
Yes, about compassion. I have a question there. Um, I feel many times hurt by people, yes, and I say, "Oh, I am a compassion being, so I forgive them." Yes, uh, very bad people, and then I feel bad because I use compassion toward bad people, and that people should be in jail. And I didn't send to jail that people, yes, because I was compassion. And then I feel like a criminal because I was justifying a criminal people. Well, justifying or being compassion and didn't spoke about it. So I am very confused about it, really confused.
So you mean to say, just to rephrase you, what you were sharing, you mean to say that people who are doing wrong things, you somehow feel that when you are compassionate to them, it's not a right stand that you are taking. You feel that it's I'm not doing my responsibility if I'm compassionate towards them. Is that what you want to share? Yeah, okay, okay.
Yes, exactly. It's like it's again, you know, because I am compassion, I forgive them, I am praying about them, and I know that karma will take care. Yes, or the gods, or awareness, or then I should not do anything.
Yeah,
Yes, like
yeah, yeah. Understand, yeah. Again, it's not in that sense compassion. So I'll take one example and you see if it makes things clear. So this very famous uh, primatologist and environmentologist Jane Goodall, maybe you have heard of her, huh? So she worked and lived with chimpanzees for a very long time, and then she became aware of the condition of chimpanzees and other animals, how they were treated uh, in the name of science and lab research. And then she started to take a stand for them, that they should be kept in good conditions, they should be kept in humane conditions, not like in little cages where there's hardly any space to move, because they also have emotions, they also can feel and get hurt. So once she was celebrating her birthday in a restaurant, and there was a waitress who came to her, and she recognized that she is the same person who says that lab research, animal research is not that we should be doing, or she takes a stand for animals, huh? So this lady who was the waitress, her child, her daughter, she was being saved because of some dog research happening in the labs. So she was very angry at Jane Goodall, because she said that how can you say that this research should not happen, or animals should not be used for research, because look at my daughter, she would have been suffering, but she's alive because of that dog research happening. So she abused Jane Goodall in that restaurant, and she said, no, you take stand for a wrong reason, something like that. So Jane Goodall was silent for a moment, and then it's very inspirational how she tackled this one. She said that, my mother also has a pig valve in her heart. So because of pigs, my mother is alive today. And I am very grateful to that pig who gave her life and science to research, life to research and science, so that my mother could live. And it's a replacement. She has an animal piece or part in her heart. And that is why, because I feel so grateful to pigs, that is why I want that whatever animals are there in lab research, their conditions should be good. So now when she said this, then the waitress could not say anything, because it's true. If I have been benefited by animals, then I have to make sure that their conditions are better and humane. Now, this why I am sharing this example is that Jane Goodall could have also said that no, 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 you don't understand. You belong to the other party, and we are the ones taking stand for animals. We are the one taking the right stand. But again and again, in many anecdotes, it comes to us, especially in this case, Jane Goodall's case, that she was very compassionate towards the other side, people who are not taking stand for animals. She was very compassionate towards them. She never made any separation that, I am the right one and you are doing the wrong thing. You should change. So this is how compassion can be used. So if I'm talking to a criminal, so called labeled as criminal, or a person who is not doing the right job, I know that he's also suffering doing that right job, wrong job. That's for sure. It's not that he would be repaying by karma. That's maybe my ill will may be there, that you will bear the brunt of your deeds. Not in that sense, but knowing that no person can be happy if not for following their true nature. And if we follow our true nature, we will not be harming and killing each other. So even that person who is now labeled as a criminal, he is actually doing it in his ignorance. He doesn't know any better way. And hence the compassion arises. So it's not compassion that, okay, you did bad and continue to do bad and I will forgive you. No. It's compassion in a sense that I understand how miserable you feel following what you are following. Even you don't know how miserable you feel. And how, how Jetsunwa Tenzin Palmo again and again shares that each one of us is Buddha natured. But we don't know. How sad. So even that person who is thinking of himself as a criminal, how ugly and dark thoughts will be overwhelming him. It's not easy to murder people. It's very hard. But we are brainwashed into it. And in our ignorance, we accept it. But at the same time, parallelly, my Buddha nature awaits for me. When will I reclaim it? So it's compassion in that sense that I understand how much of pain it is to be away from our true nature. And this person, whatever task he is doing, whatever wrong steps he is taking, he is doing it because he doesn't know. No one ever showed him the right way. So it's compassion in that sense. It's not compassion that you should continue whatever you are doing. And that I will keep on forgiving whatever sins are committed. Not in that sense. And also, parallelly, I also notice my own self that the same anger that led someone to commit a murder, I have that seeds of same anger in me. So I am at the same ground as that criminal. I am no different. I'm not like superior or something very elite. That gives me a same ground. When I look at my own weaknesses, it gives me a same ground. And then I say to myself, if I can transform it, the criminal can also transform it. That's compassion. It's not that the criminal must go on, continue the crime. Does that make sense to you, Claudia? Or
Yes, a lot of sense. Yes, but yeah, it's very hard to. I mean, again,
yeah,
it's very hard. It's very difficult to really have compassion for someone that hurts you or your family or I don't know. Here
yeah,
in Mexico, we always speak about the example of Hitler because everybody knows him. So, I mean, it's in the past history, no,
mm,
but it's really hard to have compassion about him,
mm,
like you say. I
yeah,
mean, it's very like I don't know.
yeah, absolutely.
Or the rapes people, or people that rapes women, in their
Yes,
houses, or
yes, yes, yes,
fathers, or I mean, it's like
yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I was asking a person in a group, why you don't bring the father that rapes you to the jail?
mm,
Why?
mm,
Why you allow him to continue to
mm,
to stay there?
mm,
And she say because it's my father and I cannot do that to him. So in that way, it's like I just like I say to her, well, then he's going to commit that with a nephew or with another person.
mm,
I just don't understand you. What are you doing this?
mm,
So it's this is my struggle all the time with things.
mm, mm. And at the same time, parallelly, whenever I am not able to feel compassion and I'm feeling agitated and angry towards people who may be committing things which are wrong, then I also connect with that struggle within. And this is the struggle so many of us face when we are not able to forgive and we are in this turmoil of not being able to feel compassion. So now I feel that struggle. Now I know their struggle, people who are not able to connect with people who may be committing sins. Now I know that struggle, that not being able to be compassionate. So again, transmuting my own struggle into something larger and connecting it with a larger suffering, because all of us are going through the similar things, no matter how different we are. And also the suffering of, for example, that daughter you were sharing, connecting with her suffering. And usually what happens, what appears to me is that whenever I open my heart and connect to the suffering truly in my all my honesty and sincerity, and wish for the others some peace and progress and joy, some or the other door outwardly also opens, so that I can take a stand and help out that person. So inwardly, if I open my heart doors, then outwardly also I am able to take better stand in more honesty, more sincerity. So I feel that both of them happen. It doesn't mean that I should only be sitting in my own meditation room and just inhaling the suffering and outwardly not taking any action. So I feel that the more inwardly I become honest and sincere in my prayers towards others, outwardly I am able to take the right decision, the right stand. You would notice that this would also keep happening. Yeah, Sham, you
Thank you,
wanted to?
Monica.
Yeah, thank you too. You wanted to share? Yeah.
Yes, actually, when we put ourselves in others' shoes, we are able to imagine that what that person is going through. For this part is important that we imagine ourselves in others' shoes, what they had been through that made them the kind of person they are. So once we are able to get the crux of it, maybe we are able to help the person in front of us in a better manner, talk to them in a more lively manner, get candid with them, and maybe we are even able to help them, because it's only when they blurt out we understand that what they had been through all these days and years, and what made them the kind of person they are. So in that sense, we need to put them in ourselves shoes. We need to show compassion to them. And not only that, tongue meditation is that inward thing. Externally, we can talk to them in a what you call in a jovial and lively atmosphere, so that they are able to open their hearts to us, so that we could maybe lend a helping hand to us, or if not a helping hand, we can just hear out to them. That's it, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. In one of the uh, talks I had shared earlier, Tignathan was sharing that once he was very angry with one of the sea pirates who had raped somebody, if you remember that talk. And he said that it was like very, again, as you were sharing, anger for justice. You feel that the other person is not getting justice and you feel angry about that. And he shared this incident of how he was able to, what Sham was sharing, step into his shoes, and he saw his whole life, the sea pirate, that how he did not get education, nobody ever attended to him as a child, he was not given the basic needs as a child requires through growing up, and never anybody trained him in what is good and what is not worth following. And then he understood his condition, and then instead of anger, compassion grew for the sea pirate also, that in what pitiable state he was developing as a child, that he had to consort to, for example, raping a person. So instead of anger grew wisdom and compassion, and now he can maybe connect more deeply, as Sham was sharing, with the sea pirate, understanding his turmoils and what led him to do that, and what now he can do in order to make his life beautiful. Because at any time we are willing, we can always take a U-turn. As Sri Aurobindo in Savitri shares, that our true self is like a diamond which is always kept safe, no matter how many sins I may have done. So it doesn't matter after how many sins I wake up that now I want to change. Whenever you want to change, you get your treasure back, your true self back. But the willingness has to be mine. Nobody can force me into this. I have to get up and now decide that enough of my torture. I want to be a changed person. And then the story is different.
Yeah, that video by Tignatham that is shared, it was a very painful one. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not, again, when we reflect upon these disturbing emotions, it's not that they would just vanish, after I embark upon the spiritual path. The idea is that whenever they arise, I am able to transform into something beautiful. Sorry for the light gone. That's the beauty of this path, that we use whatever is there as a raw material for progress. So anger, raw material; jealousy, raw material; hurt, pain, suffering, raw material. And we don't have to wait for them to vanish completely, that, or feel bad that, oh, I thought I was on the spiritual path for so many years, but see, anger is still there. No, anger may be there, but what are you doing with the anger? That's where my path is. And Tignathan, in his beautiful small book, there is a small book that he is, I think maybe it's a collection of his talks. It's called No Mud, No Lotus. So if there is no mud, which is the mud of these disturbing, difficult things, then how would the lotus grow? All these can become raw material for the lotus to grow, for our true self to evolve out of it. Make it as a nurture, just like a lotus uses all the mud in which it's growing as a nurture. The roots gets nurture from it, and then it grows in beauty. And I feel many a times that maybe this is one of the reasons why India has its national flower as lotus, because maybe it has a spiritual significance, that we can make raw material of everything difficult and challenging and transform it into something beautiful. So I thought maybe today it's almost the time, so we won't go into the verse which we wanted to start. And this was just, I wanted to continue on the verse 7, which was the supreme accomplishment is a continuing decrease of disturbing emotions. So, how to transform these disturbing emotions was what I wanted to take up today. And maybe in the next session, we can continue with the next verse, decrease of wishes and wants. Okay, so any last comments? Anyone? Anything?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Sham. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Seren. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Okay.